What is up, guys? Welcome to a brand new yet kind of different video today. So today I'm going to be showing off a brand new intro that my friend Magpie made for me, which I am very, very grateful for. She's also made me like this kind of new logo for my freaking little avatar, if you will, for YouTube. But alongside that, I did want to chuck in a review, and I've never done this before on this channel, which is really actually kind of cool at the same time. And there's nothing none more deserving than her comic Kina's Adventure, because it is this really kind of fun-spirited yet really deep slash dark kind of adventure story, like kind of in the name, I know, but you'll see what I mean when I get into it. Now, before I show you guys the new intro that she's made for me, and the music is kind of a placeholder, let me know if you guys like it or if I should try and find something else to add into it, but it does kind of have this cool retro feel to it. I just want to say, for like a not really massively known title, I mean, because she's literally done this all herself. Like, we're talking the script, the story, the design, the comic book art, the coloring, everything is all her. I have so much respect for it. And you know, when I read the story for myself, it was just, I don't know, it was just like this really kind of fun escape, go-to adventure. And yes, I said adventure again, Kina's Adventure, but it just is the case, and I really do highly recommend that you guys check it out for yourself. But before I give my review or slash my kind of favorite things on this comic, here is the new intro, guys. I'm actually really happy with it, and she's done a really cool job. Now, what I love about what she did with that intro is it's quick. I don't want one of those 15-20 second dubstep kind of intros. But like, obviously you can see Gotham City in the background. I love the Bat Family. I cover Gotham and things like that. But I also do quite a few other things at the same time. So I didn't want it to be full like Gotham centric. So as you can see, I'm equipping a lightsaber, which I do kind of need to do more Star Wars content. There's this cool flash kind of bolt on me, and then I like jump off the roof with the Speed Force. It was just like a really cool little intro that she made for me that I've always kind of wanted to implement into my channel anyway, to kind of make it seem a bit more like official like. And this is just but like a little taster of like the ability of her artwork in her comic book. So what is her comic book, guys? Kina's Adventure. So the actual official description of it is: Kina's Adventure is the story of a young, very naive and oblivious Axian girl who decides to travel the galaxies in order to study new vegetal specimens. She will run into several other characters, some with better intentions than others, and that is like completely true. The thing I love about Kina in this comic is that she's like so optimistic. She's like completely optimistic to the point where I really like how Magpie explained it to us herself to me. Because she is like so optimistic, her good influence throughout the story, or like the couple of issues that are currently out, you'll see how it does rub off on other people, like characters like Vlad, for example, who is my favorite character, but I'll get into that in a little bit. She finds herself traveling to this planet after going to quite a few uninhabited ones, and then coming across all the characters that we find in the comic. And now the main characters for me are like Magpie and Vlad, just because they're my favorites. But of course, there are plenty of other characters which you will find out, like Octave. I hope I'm pronouncing these correctly. These are at least my pronunciations. And other characters like Prince Igoa, who Vlad works for. As I said, I hope I said that correctly. But if there's any Kina fans in the comments down below, feel free to correct me. Now, the description is on point with meeting other characters, with some with better intentions than others, because Kina, as I mentioned, being so optimistic, kind of naive, and this such exploring kind of person, is going around, and she does bump into quite a few people, but like her race at least seems quite advanced in terms of this kind of technology, or this kind of natural thing. I don't know exactly what it is, but they call it the Blue Rock. And this kind of technology is like insanely interesting to some of the people she comes across. For example, like some people try, this is the thing, I don't want to spoil it for those of you who are going to go ahead and read this, but let's just say that some people will try and take advantage, and that's how she meets, for example, Magpie, who is actually sent out after her to get the Blue Rock, but Magpie doesn't exactly do what she's supposed to do, and Magpie, by the way, is like this very interesting character in the comic, who at the minute, at this point in the story, is kind of wrapped up with like the mafia, like the mob of the story, but she has this like really dark, interesting past. She gets sent after the Kina to grab the Blue Rock off her. But Kina, like, as I was mentioning earlier, with like the good influences, the good intentions, and she sees how she's speaking to this other character who we meet in the comic, Octav, and he has his own funny storyline with getting involved with that mafia. Magpie kind of sees Octav and Kina together, and it reminds her of this really interesting plot or arc in the comic of her past, and that is all to do with this character known as Mr. V, who is described by some of like the mobster kind of members as this kind of monster who turned Magpie into this kind of dark person she is today, because throughout the comic you do see this kind of backstory where Magpie was this totally different person. But that's all I'll leave it at there with that. It really does get interesting, and the story isn't even over yet. I'm waiting to find out what the heck is going on with Mr. V. But I want to take a step back for a couple of seconds and just reiterate the amount of effort that she's really put into this comic is really good. Like to the point of where I honestly believe that this should and probably will be one day an actual published comic where when you're reading this, it just feels like you have gone in the store, picked it up, say, hey, I fancy this, and like, you know, you're going through it. Because my favorite thing, apart from like a couple of the characters and the alien design, which I'll get to, mainly the weaponry, which is really, really badass, it is just the glowing, vibrant colors. For example, when you're reading this, you'll probably be able to tell how there is grouped colorings. For example, how with the royalty or like the different classes, purple and gold is usually the royalty. Like Magpie, you'll tell, is like this really blackish yet dark kind of blue. And the character of Kina, for example, like with the technology, because obviously she's quite tech savvy, is like light blue and stuff like that, little glowing bits on her. So I just really like appreciate that side of it. Not only do I love the designs of the different races of aliens in this. For example, there's this one scene, and you'll know what I mean when you get to it, where Octav starts singing, and then like everyone just reacts to it, and you see all of these different races. Not only to mention like the alien weaponry, which I absolutely love. If you're kind of like this old kind of Star Wars fan, or like of the Old Republic era, you'll know what I mean by like vibro blades or vibro swords. I think they're known as vibro blades if I remember correctly. In this comic, a lot of the weapons are like these kind of energy based weapons, which is totally up my street. But there's this one scene that I really, really love, and I thought I'd seen all the weaponry at this point, like in terms of like where it could go. But Vlad, as I mentioned, one of my favorite characters, like had this kind of cutlassly saber blade, and it like, this is what I mean as well. That fight scene where he was using that, it was pretty dark, and as optimistic and as fun and as spirited as this adventure is with Kina, like there really is some dark moments in it and violent moments, language and everything involved in it. So if you're thinking, oh, this seems like a fun like space tale or something like that, think again. There is like a lot of elements and layers, and you'll see what I mean by that by like page 60 on the website. And by the way, links are in the description down below to that. It's like quite dark and funny humor. Now, if you're into vigilantes and you're thinking, well, baby, this hasn't got anything like that in it, well, it does have a hint of that in it, and that's all I'm going to say there. I also really like the character of Edgelord, which is Magpie's actual magpie, by the way. If you couldn't tell, Magpie is very magpie-centric, even to the point with like a gun that she was even about to use in the episode, had like these wings on it. Just all the detail in it is fantastic. In issue 2, without saying too much, I love how Kina goes to explore these other planets, and when I was talking about different like creative features of it in terms of alien races and everything like that, well, that was understated. Just you wait till you get to issue 2 to see what I mean there. And issue 2 being, I think, my favorite in terms of how much I like Vlad, and Vlad and Kina spend a lot of time together in that part. Now, if you're wondering why I like Vlad so much, it's because, well, not only was he like freaking amazing when he appeared in that fight scene with that weapon, but also in the comic you kind of realize that he seems like this basically, how do I put it, like this arsehole. And then eventually you kind of see that there's this other side to him, that he's not so rotten to the core, especially after something happens, and I don't want to give that away, but this is what I mean. Like Kina brings this out in other people, and that story goes even deeper with his connection to Magpie, and how that gets explored, and this is what I mean. Like, this is just such a well thought out story that I was even surprised like with how like good it was when I was reading it. Not that I thought it would be bad, but I thought, okay, this is going to be a cool story. But things like that kept happening throughout the comic in terms of how characters and their like histories in their past, and how there was even more meaning with their relations. Just this kept surprising me with the amount of thought that just kept going into it and going into it and going into it. And now, if you're a sucker for symbolism, this has loads of it. After I read it, Magpie, and if you're wondering why I keep saying Magpie, she actually goes by that name as well. She pointed out quite a few Easter eggs to me. Now, I definitely would keep your eyes out for them. during your read of it. I really don't want to give too much away, but if you're wondering like who the heck is Mr. V, what is his history with Magpie, like what is his history even with Vlad, and then what I'd add on to that is, and trust me, like if you figure this out and you really do see what the bigger picture is, it really gives a lot more meaning to all of those character relationships and past and backstory into what you've already been introduced to in the first 2 issues. So keep an eye out for not only just like the Vulture moments with Vlad, but also especially towards the end of issue 2 with the pirate storyline, because yes, we've got space pirates in this as well, people. I think that's where I'm gonna leave it with Kina's adventure. Like my review, I'm sorry if it was jambled and rambly. I've never done a comic book review before, so it was just like me spurting out my thoughts that just kept coming at me. Now honestly, I'm not just saying this, but it really is a good story, and I just think it deserves such appreciation more than what it's getting for the amount of effort that this one person has put into it. So seriously guys, check out the links in the description below. And I almost forgot guys that she will be at MCM London Comic Con the 26th, 27th and 28th. So if you actually get time to read this, like as of after this video or like during it, she will have her own actual like art booth there where you can actually check out like some Kina's adventure merch and stuff like that, or even to just go up to her and say hi and inquire about the comic. She does also have a YouTube channel as well, like where she posts a lot of the artwork to do with it and other things, so definitely subscribe to that. As I said, links to everything is in the description down below guys. But other than that guys, thank you so much for watching this video. Leave a like on it if you did enjoy it. I know it was something kind of different, but I really wanted to put this out there. But thank you so much for watching guys. I hope you have a lovely rest of your day. I'll see you guys in the next video. Goodbye.